All right, so this is the agenda. Is it's somewhat ambitious, but let's see. We're going to be meeting for the next 7, almost 8 weeks. So this week will be mostly introducing some very basic concepts, focusing on trying to have a development environment up and running, hosted on a remote server, and getting started with the project that we're going to be working together, right, in class. We'll work on some of the more generic parts of the application, such as logging in and registering and managing users, creating users like an admin console, and we'll be setting up some of the environment that we're going to be using later in the next assignment, right? So, for instance, the backend part of this, the MySQL and the Java part will be used for the next couple weeks, right? But the front end will be jQuery, which we're only going to cover this week, right? After that, in the next upcoming week, we'll introduce you to React. We'll do React Redux and then React Native. So we'll do React for the next 3 weeks, and then the last 3 weeks we're going to be focusing on Angular as a front end, but we're also going to swap the back end as well. We're going to switch from a Java backend and a MySQL database. We'll switch it to Node.js and MongoDB, right? And in effect, working on what's often referred to as the mean stack, right? Mongo, Express, Angular, and Node.js. So you'll be exposed to quite a bit of different technologies. So 2 server-side technologies, which is Java web server and a Node.js web server. You'll be using for backend, for database, MySQL, and as a bonus, you'll be using an ORM, an object relational mapping technology called JPA, which allows you to treat the database as an object, an object store. And the last couple of weeks, we're going to be using MongoDB as a non-relational database, right, for data storage. In the front end, we'll be looking at basically 3 or 4 user interface technologies. This week, we'll look at jQuery. It's a very common library. It's very, very useful for dynamic DOM, document object model manipulation, and it's the basis of a lot of the JavaScript projects, right? And a lot of libraries use jQuery as the basis, right? So we'll get used to using jQuery and some of the low-level manipulation of the DOM, or as low-level as you want to get, right? Without actually using just plain old JavaScript, okay? So we'll use jQuery. Then we'll do React, and React will allow us to work on 2 user interface technologies, right? React.js, which will allow us to do dynamic content manipulation on the front end, right, on the browser. And then on week 4, we'll introduce React Native, which all the knowledge you've learned about React, right, React.js, it'll be very easy to port that knowledge to implement mobile applications, right? Phone or native applications, right? So React Native is it's very exciting that you can seamlessly transition from manipulating HTML and DOM, and being able to use what you've learned and use that for mobile applications. So that's very nice. We'll keep the same backend. Well, we'll use the same backend. So for the first 4 weeks, we'll use the same backend, right? We'll use Java as a server, JPA as the object relational mapping, and we'll use MySQL as the database storage. Okay. And there is no Memorial Day. Wait, is this pointing to the right? That's the wrong link, is it? Oh, interesting. That's pointing to the wrong thing. All right. Anyway, it's the same schedule. Then for the last 4 weeks, last 3 weeks, sorry. Again, we'll swap to for the front end Angular. We'll use in the middle tier. We'll use Node.js, and for the database a NoSQL database, MongoDB. All right. So all along, we'll be working on a project together, right? That splits off, which is basically the assignment. You split it onto 6 or 7 different assignments, right? So the first assignment, which we'll introduce today, we'll work on something very generic, right? Logging in and registration, some user admin stuff, okay? But most of the work, most of the time that you're going to be spending is trying to get the environment up and running, right? It's going to be a very painful week, right, of getting things working locally on your machine and then deploying it on the remote server, right? It's always painful this first week, right? When you're missing an environment variable here, why is it not connecting? It works locally, but it doesn't work remotely. So there'll be so expect pain this first week as we try to help you out. The TAs are going to be on call to help you out in getting things up and running on the remote server. So that this first due date, the first due date for the first assignment is going to be a very soft due date. Right? If you miss out on that due date, I'm not going to penalize you. Right? I know this first week is painful. Okay? So no late policy for the first assignment, but you have to get it up and running. Okay? You got to get it running because then assignment 2 is right on its heels. Right? And then you'll have to have the assignment 1 all done. Right? Right. So all right. So that's the first week. The next 3 weeks. The next 3 weeks are going to work on so the project we're going to be working on together, the assignment we're going to be working on together, we're going to be building an online course management system, right? Where faculties will be able to create content, right? Create courses, add videos and add just raw HTML, links to different content. So it'll be a content management system that that faculty can use to create a course, right? So the second half will be the student's point of view, right? Once these courses have been created, students will be able to enroll in the course, right, and actually take the course, right? So there's 2 distinct parts of the application, right? Targeting 2 distinct audiences, right? One is the faculty audience, and then you have the student audience. Okay, so the faculty audience will be built. We're going to build that part of the application. We're going to build that using React, right, and Java and MySQL. Okay, so that's the assignment 2, 3, and 4. Assignment 2, 3, and 4 are building the faculty's point of view. Right, the last 3 assignments, 5, 6, and 7. Are going to build the applications from the student's point of view, right? So the students will be able to search for courses, enroll in a course, start looking at the course in a read-only mode, right? They can only read the content. They'll be able to take maybe a quiz and submit a quiz for grading. So that part we're going to be building using Angular, Node.js, and MongoDB. All right? So it splits nicely, and there'll be very little dependencies between the 2, right? So that obviously the both servers will have to be running, right? Because the courses are going to be hosted on the MySQL side, right? And the Angular side is going to be consuming that content for rendering purposes. But as the student submits an assignment or submits a quiz or fills out a form, they'll be generating content as well. That's going to go into MongoDB. Right, for grading and things like that. Okay, we'll talk about the architecture a little later, but that's in rough idea of how it's going to be split. Right, so the first assignment, very generic. Right, the next 3 assignments are going to build the faculty application, and the last 3 assignments will build the student application. Make sense? All right, awesome. All right, so let's talk about the first assignment.